Today we have Peter Oykhman, founder and CEO of Core Partners, and then also SciTech VR. Now, Peter, first, welcome to the Work Cultured podcast, and delighted to have you here. I would love for you to start to tell me a little bit more about yourself. And from what I understand, just based on LinkedIn, you've been doing Core Partners for almost 23 years. And then I know we've talked extensively offline about SciTech VR and kind of coming up on 4 years there. So if you would kind of catch us up on your career up to this point in whatever way you'd like.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel, for inviting me. It's very exciting. To tell you about myself. It's a really long story. I'm 60 years old.
Okay.
And I started my IT career is actually in the old Soviet Union. It was 1987, just to be
Wow. Okay.
specific. So I'm that old. My first,
I was
you
5.
know, yeah, exactly. So I my first software I wrote, it was on a punch card, and in college, which was very different experience.
Okay.
Your biggest fear was you got like a stack of a punch cards. If you'll drop it, there is no way that you will put it back in the right order unless you will mark them. So it was very entertaining. In it, it's like it's interesting to remember, uh,
Yeah.
especially granted that in the last uh, 40 years, everything changed, and it's like technology changed so much, you cannot even recognize, some of the stuff, and even before AI, now it's even, more exciting. So, um, we started Core Partners in 2003. We kind of started a couple of years earlier, but registered in 2003. Um, uh, it was after .com, so everything collapsed.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. You probably were a little bit older uh,
Yep. I was
during
in
it. .com.
college.
So nobody really knows what to do. We were actually providing a software development right up until everything crashed. Nobody was buying software development anymore. We had a customer who ordered some logistics software, warehouse management software. We built it, and they went belly up. So we was like, well, we have to sell something. So I had zero knowledge of logistics at some point, like very basic, um, but kind of learned on the job. We sold a few licenses, built another piece of software on top of that, and became sort of an expert in the logistics in the commercial space, and we became an expert in logistics in the government space. Um, but after doing it for about 20 years, I honestly I got bored. There's logistics is a very conservative space. Up until fairly recently, it's all the same stuff. Like,
And very far behind.
well, yeah, it's kind of the whole supply chain management. It's all the same stuff: warehouses, containers, shipping, receiving, barcode scanners, all the same stuff. So now we got a little bit more kind of robotics and a little bit more automation, and especially with AI, it's getting a little bit more exciting. But again, after 20 years, uh, it's not the stuff I would be really interested in kind of doing for the next, 10, 15 years of my life. So
Sure.
I started looking, I got really fascinated with virtual reality, because I think it has a great future. It's super immersive, super kind of interesting. Technology is there, like, hardware is not expensive. All the tool sets around that to build some applications in virtual reality is much easier than it was before. So you really have a great opportunity to build something really interesting, amazing, combine it with AI, and that's even more amazing.
Yeah. Which is what you guys have done.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're definitely getting there.
I love the
Uh,
humility.
well, it's process, because we're trying to uh, kind of every morning, I'm going to my computer and trying to learn something new. I mean, I usually dedicate like Monday afternoon just to read stuff about the new technology, new AI, and it's that is not enough, because it's not enough time to read about everything kind of what's going on in the industry, like virtual reality, AI. It's just crazy how fast it's moving, and especially in the last couple of years. And it's really cool. It's really cool. It's that part is exciting. Honestly speaking, logistics, it's good, but it's not exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I sold logistics for a few years. It was not exciting at all. Now, I don't want to mess it up, but I'll say from my reading and understanding, and I definitely want, your more professional opinion, but the SciTech tool using the VR headset, is it primarily in the hands of like psychologists, psychiatrists? Is that right?
Well, it's a little bit it's a little bit um, uh, so our end users are actually patients, but uh, yes, psychologists and psychiatrists are controlling the environment in virtual reality. So it's a what I was trying to say, that it's, for all intensive purposes, this is a B2C, right? But we're going through like this B2B kind of application. So our B2B is like SciTech to the psychologists, psychiatrists, clinics, and they are using it on their patients. So our real true end users are patients, not psychologists and psychiatrists. Um, but yeah, we're selling it to psychologists, psychiatrists, clinics, and such.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I am very excited to get to experience it myself.
We got a 30 days free trial. It's kind of I think um, if you never and we're dealing with people who never tried the virtual reality like every day, and it was like, just try it. Just you have no idea, what you're missing. It's just, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to play games, but just do like a virtual traveling. There are tons of like even YouTube is offering these 360 videos, right? So just go, just see this, because it's anything from Paris to Siberia to whatever, and it's like fully immersive. It's a 360, and it's a sound that I think it's just really really cool stuff.
So, just so for our listeners, are you saying that if a customer, an end user themselves wanted to purchase and use this, they could without the use of a doctor or
Uh,
therapist?
it really, what our kind of a suggestion is this. So our application could be used for two main purposes: mental health and mental wellness. So mental health, I would recommend to use it with a psychologist, psychiatrist for sure. If you have like, fear, phobia, PTSD, CPTSD, that sort of stuff, you definitely have to work with a doctor to basically to guide you through this, right?
Makes
But if you
sense.
want to do it for mental wellness, you don't need a doctor. So basically, there is a standard, like guided, meditation or breathing exercise or just overall mental wellness
Wow.
there. And talking about AI, right? So you could create your own, we call it a safe space, using AI through the prompts, and will help you to create this, prompts as well. So there is a we're using, so you start writing a prompt, and ChatGPT will help you to write the prompt, and then another AI will create this 360, picture for you. You could add some sounds, again, AI generated sounds, if you want to, like sounds of the waves or sounds of the rain, and
Okay.
you could keep adding to this, or you could use a standard library with binaural beats and so on and so forth. So you could create your own safe space, and you could, just put these headsets on, anywhere, and just go to this safe space and use it for relaxation, for de-stressing, because, and that's what we keep telling people, that um, yeah, we had this conversation before, like, the general concept, like, go meditate. You can't, there is no way that a average person will learn how to meditate in a, 5 minutes, through the 5 minutes video, right? But this thing is totally separates you from your environment. It helps you to relax. It, could add some, EMDR techniques and such, and that
Wow.
could really, would be beneficial for your mental wellness. Again, you
Yeah.
don't have to go to a mental health part. Just go to a mental wellness and enjoy this completely new experience. I think it's pretty cool.
Wow. Man, I am excited. Well, I'll tell you this. Normally, we're already 12 minutes in, and I haven't even asked my first question, but this is as far as the the company itself. I can, in my, just from myself, I can say the most fascinating that I've gotten to experience in our several years of doing the podcast. So I thank you so much for sharing that. So now I'm going to get into this question, and I know I told you, what is a mistake in leadership that you've made that you can share that you'll never forget?
Ooh, I actually, at my age, I actually like admitting mistakes. Opposite from, like my early days,
Sure.
where you would never admit mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so my biggest mistake, it's picking the wrong people.
Mm,
So, and like, for example, you're hiring a salesperson, right? So you're going through interview, and during this, whatever this 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour interview, uh, you're supposed to make a educated guess. This is always an educated guess. Sometimes it's not so well educated, if it's a good person or bad person. And there, I read a kind of a, probably like, 10 different books, how to do the interview. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. If the person read the same 10 books,
yeah, you can game the system.
right,
Absolutely.
exactly. It's the hope is like he or she didn't read the same 10 books. So, but yeah, so hiring the right people for a job, it's great. It's a great thing. The hiring a wrong person for a job, it's just very expensive, because you
Very
will learn
expensive.
about it, 6 months later, and or best case scenario, worst case scenario, and year later, and at that point you already wasted so much time and money. That's,
Yeah.
no, it's always disappointing. But again, who you're going to blame? You can only blame yourself. So you made the wrong choice. Oh well.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is in my early career, I mean, I'm a salesman through and through. I picked up on that pretty quick, and I was able to get some pretty big career opportunities that I probably should not have gotten because I figured out their strategy and I just did what I needed to do, and their gut feeling is like, man, this guy is great, when all I did was figure out their system.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying is you could absolutely, you can do this, and it's not like I recommend reading kind of the same books how to do the interviews and everything, but I'm just saying that if you're smart enough, you should read at least one or two, right? So and then you could figure out, the rest. But I um, I can honestly tell you that um, uh, we we worked with a couple of coaches and like pretty well-known coaches, and with the whole VR stuff as well. And they're giving all these wonderful advices how to be a better salesperson and how to do better. Um, and even with that, I have to say that um, it, like be about being a sales. You're either a salesperson or not, right? Uh, it's a kind of the biggest kind of saying you are looking at a salesperson at the end of the day, to going back to VR, to be mentally resilient, right? Because you're dealing with a lot of
Rejection.
rejections, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be okay with being rejected. But yeah, in interesting situation, interesting stories, uh, you're okay with being rejected, but you're not okay with kind of a selling something. And I don't know. It's I personally I hate selling stuff. I've been told on multiple occasions that I'm actually pretty good at that, but I hate selling stuff. And uh, it's I dealing with people who are pretending that they know the subject. That's another kind of a big kind of a no. That's not a good thing. Maybe the next one, uh, probably if the person is not a team player, that like and the illusion is, oh, if you're, for example, a good IT, like if you're a good developer, you don't have to be a good team player. No, if you're working in a group, you still have to be a good team player. So hiring a person who is not a good you know team player, that's probably the next biggest mistake you could make.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is um, and I couldn't find it. Did you did you take that assessment that I sent? If you did, I didn't see it on my end, and
No,
if not,
no, I actually it didn't open, but yeah,
oh, no, okay.
yeah,
I'll maybe resend the link
okay.
afterwards. But I say that to say our podcast is sponsored by Aptive Index, and they're using that
I've heard of
psychometric
them. Yeah, yeah, I've
behavioral
heard of
data,
them. Yeah. Hmm.
and their kind of catchphrases that they will help you understand humans at their core. And I'm sure you're like me, you've taken plenty of those assessments
Hmm.
throughout, and I
Hmm.
have as well. And when I first took the assessment, I felt like I was looking at a window into my soul, and it was fascinating yet terrifying at the same time. And I love learning how companies are able to use this
Hmm.
to, just like you said, I mean, picking the right person, and also like being able to identify at someone's core, is this person going to do well in this role, and are they going to be able to be a team player?
Hmm.
And
Absolutely, and I definitely will take a look at this because right now we're actually getting ready for a pretty large scale project. overseas, and we probably will have to hire about 20 people, over 20 people. So definitely makes sense to do this if, kind of anything that could help.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'm not afraid. Like, look, if you got something I could use, if say you got something helpful, I'll take it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and it is, yeah. We're way past the days of just going on our gut feelings for things so important.
Hmm.
Now,
I agree.
as we kind of continue the conversation here, I want to ask, and you can think of any venture that you've done, not just these two, but when you think of company culture and the way that it has affected, whether it's at Core Partners or SciTech or any other part of your career, when you think of company culture, can you think of particular instances or particular things that you've done to kind of facilitate that or create that?
And if I could be, frank, so
Yeah.
I worked in a different countries, and we had an offices in the different countries. We had an office in Afghanistan when before everything collapsed there, and uh, it was challenging to the degree. And then when everything collapsed, I actually brought you know a few people here. I brought a family here, and they lived in my house for almost like a couple months during Ramadan. And uh, if you think that something could prepare for you for that, and again, I've been in Afghanistan before, but when you got the true Muslim family living with you during Ramadan, that's not what you're expecting. Uh,
Could
just a
you
different
elaborate? Because
experience.
I have no understanding of Ramadan.
So basically, true Muslims, kids are actually allowed to eat, but true Muslims, they cannot eat or drink during like 12 plus hours, like 12, 14 hours during the day. And like they pray, uh, uh, and that's normal. But the fact that uh, they essentially eat only during the night, and the wife is cooking for their children, and feeding the children, but cannot eat herself. And so it's really different. And no, you cannot, the thing that killed me is that they're not allowed to drink.
Wow.
And it's
Anything.
cultural. No, no, nothing. So it's cultural. It's you have to be you have to grow up with this. And again, I honestly, I knew some things, but I didn't know that it's that strict.
Yeah.
So that was really kind of a eye-opening moment, that they cannot eat or drink. And yeah, I was trying not to eat or drink because it's like it, and they told me that it's okay, but I was just trying to be polite, because
Sure.
they're not eating, you're not drinking. And so and it's very kind of spiritual. It's really cool. I wouldn't say it's beautiful, but it's really interesting experience than for the outsider, that experience this kind of a cultural tradition. But going back to your question, um, I guess accepting we live in a multicultural society. Even in our office, we got like Russians, Ukrainians, Afghans. Um, uh, to be kind of open-minded, and accepting that there are certain things you don't know, and you don't have to kind of um, uh, you don't have to kind of to do the same thing, but just be open-minded, and accepting that cultures are different. And it's not a culture. It's basically people, and good people, bad people. Doesn't really matter. From I'm keep saying the same thing. Is like Muslims. All the Muslims are reading the same book. and some of them are good, some of them are bad. So same thing, like, Christians. We're all, Christians are reading the same books, and some people are good, some bad.
Sure.
Jews are reading the same books. Some of them are, good, some of them are bad. It's not the book, it's the people. And if you really, kind of open-minded, and you're looking at people rather than, what strange things they're doing, that's, you should be okay.
I love that. Being open-minded and accepting and
Yeah,
that's, I mean, I grew up religious. I grew up Southern Baptist, and
yeah,
I'm not religious anymore. I'm fairly spiritual. But yeah, I nowadays I kind of ascribe to the why can't we all just get along? I can
right.
respect your religion, but let's be honest, there are over 4,000 world religions. They can't all be wrong and they can't all be right. Like if that's what someone uses to find peace or hope, then yeah, why not?
Yeah, I at some point I traveled to I went to Thailand, and there are, tons of Buddhists there, and I see this, um uh, you know monasteries, and there's really like a little houses in the backyards, and I was like, what is that? And they're like, well, that's a, kind of a native kind of saying. It's a, a little house for a forest spirit. And I was like, like you're Buddhist, but you got on this house for a spirit. And they're like, yeah, Buddhists are okay, they as long as you could believe in anything else as well. So it's like,
Wow.
okay. So that was kind of very interesting experience, that apparently, Buddhism is one of the religions who are like, yeah, you want to believe in the forest spirit, we have no problem with forest spirits, do your own thing.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I honestly these days don't really know much about any religion. But when I growing up, it was basically them teaching us enough about other religions so that we could almost have conversations, and I didn't really like that, but I do love I love like talking about Ramadan. I love seeing people do their
Hmm.
things and can
Hmm.
kind of give them a thumbs up or a clap hands from afar, but that's kind of all I've got these days, but
I mean, uh, I think we're kind of pre-built to believe in something, bigger
sure.
picture, right? We are pre-built to believe in a kind of a, um, that we're good, right? We're supposed to do something good, and some of us are not, but there is a hope.
Sure.
So if religion helps you to be better, go for it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Hopefully
why
not
not?
make you worse, right?
Right, right, right. I
Yeah.
mean, I Christians, Catholics, Baptists. I mean, if that's the way you want to be better, like, no problem.
Yeah. Love it. So the next question I have, and as you're thinking, it's perfect because as we're recording this today, it's January 14th, 2025, which is wild to think we're in the year 2025. So as we're starting the year, like what are some of the biggest challenges that you see you'll be facing in the coming year?
With a couple of them, like core partners, we have to expand. We are working on a, again, large contract overseas, and we'll have to expand there. Um, in some countries that are sometimes not that friendly. So, but that's okay. It's kind of part of life. Uh, but expanding is always painful. Shrinking is painful, but expanding is also painful. Um, but SciTech, I think, uh, again, super exciting stuff with the SciTech as well. So, and for me personally, it's a time management, because running a couple companies is could be challenging, especially both of them are expecting to grow exponentially, and it's super exciting. We actually SciTech grew 5 times last year in revenue.
Wow.
We started small, but we actually still kind of grew substantially last year, and this year we probably will do the same thing.
Okay.
And we did about about two. We started with it with 2024. We started with about 25 customers. We ended with about over 200 customers.
Wow.
We started with about 35,000 in ARR, and we ended with 170, 180 in ARR. So we're growing, and this year we probably will hit the first mill.
Okay.
So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So and there is a difference between AAR and just your revenue.
Sure.
But we probably should be pretty good in both.
I love that.
So anyway, yeah, it feels like honestly speaking, I remember this .com boom and .com kind of era. And when everything was exciting, people are running and doing their own things, and companies are growing based on some stupid ideas, and sometimes were smart ideas, with virtual reality and AI. That's how it feels right now, that people are running and going and doing their own things, and some of these things will survive, some of these things will die.
Yeah. Only time will
But
tell, I guess.
it's a similar feeling. It's challenging, but it's also there is a bad challenging, there is a good challenging. This feels like a good challenging.
Yeah. No, that's exciting. Like,
Yeah.
wow. So as you move and you're thinking of this growth and you're thinking of expanding and the multiple companies and managing time, do you have things in place right now to kind of keep that positive company culture?
Yeah, we're definitely trying. Again, that's part of the challenge, because when you're hiring more people, when you're growing, that's definitely a challenge to keep a culture. And for me, honestly speaking, the culture is, if people understand the goals and objectives, right? If people understand what we're trying to do, if it's much easier. If there is no kind of clear objectives, not that's much harder, and that's why typically, like in the beginning of the year, we're kind of sitting down and trying to identify these kind of goals and objectives and such. But honestly, I mean, with SciTech, it's easier. It's just we're developing stuff, and we have a roadmap and everything. Um, when you're, for example, working on a large scale contract, uh, sometimes it's harder because you're dealing with kind of outside forces, being like U.S. government or foreign government.
Sure.
So our goals are not always aligning.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So yeah, it's but that's life again. It is what it is. It's I think a bigger picture for me is, I like building stuff. I like creating stuff, and that's what keeps me. Technologies keeping me interested. Despite the fact that I mean, like for example, one thing I completely intentionally refuse to participate is the social media, like all these TikTok, even the Facebook. I don't have a Facebook. I don't have a TikTok. My only social
Okay.
media is a LinkedIn. I
Okay.
think kind of honestly, I think it's a waste of time. These
Okay.
all these Snapchats. But that's a part of it being older. I can pick and choose what I want to participate in and what
Sure.
I don't want to participate in.
Now, those, are y'all utilizing those from a business perspective, but just not
Uh,
personally?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we do. But again, I don't do. We use a Facebook. We have an account in Facebook, X, and but I don't. I refuse to participate in
You
that.
just
In this.
pay someone else to do it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I
Exactly.
love
Exactly.
that.
So yeah, it's. I think I've seen like uh people are getting sucked into this and wasting too much time,
Yeah.
just browsing the social media, browsing all these sites. And uh, from a business point of view, I totally understand how it's supposed to. This is how you build your social media. It's supposed to suck you in. I just don't want to play this game.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll definitely suck you in. I mean, that's the term. I don't know if you've heard this term that people are using, calling it doom scrolling.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it is.
Yeah,
I'm not super educated on all of the brain stuff about it,
right.
but one
Yeah,
of the things that I have read and I keep reading is kind of this, false dopamine that it creates, and it's temporary, and it's addictive, that's for sure.
yes, absolutely. Sorry, my dog is growling.
That's
Um,
okay. We love dogs.
yeah, yeah. Hey,
Does your dog
so
want to come say hi?
yeah. Well, hey, do you want to come say hi? I'll show you my little baby.
Hi, buddy. Oh.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
buddy.
yeah, yeah. So she's yeah. We're going to the office every morning with her, and she
Okay.
she loves the whole kind of like in the office, and she's going and saying hi to everybody and talking about culture. It's actually really good that to have a kind of a
Heck yeah.
dog in the office, and it's it's a good social interaction. And
Yeah.
actually, it's talking about social media. So I read recently that um, one company decided that they're going to, I think it was actually Spotify, that they will do a totally uh, remote work.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and I read about this on a LinkedIn, and I said, like, do you think it's actually good? No, we're all kind of social creatures.
Yeah.
At least give people a choice, because I know tons of people we are dealing with who have a huge social issues,
Mm.
uh, even after COVID. But now you're saying that now you have to stay home. Some people want to go to the office. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you think it's helpful, from a mental health? How do you think it's helpful, even cultural, like a company's culture? Do you think you can maintain a corporate culture remotely? So again, people have to get together. People have to have a social interaction, like face to face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That has been, I feel like, a big point, especially here lately. And I'm definitely in that school that, on the one hand, I love my freedom. I love to be able to do whatever I want. But yeah, at the same time, there is a big part of me, like even now, I come into the office, like today I got here at 11, and as soon as we're done, I'm leaving. So I'm here for maybe 3.5, 4 hours a day. because I need some of that. But yeah, I couldn't imagine just having zero of that, because when it first got locked down and I was, we were ordered to work from home. Oh my goodness. You talk about devastating, and mentally and emotionally was the
Absolutely.
big challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it still is, because I honestly can tell you that uh, uh, how to explain. Uh, I stayed home during COVID, but as soon as we opened the office, I went back to the office, because I know that I'm old and it's a part of my routine, but going to the office, talking to people, face to face, having a normal, interaction, normal conversation with people, and I think it's, you have to do this, because again, this is how, I mean, think about it this way, right? So school, your family, social interaction, your school, social interaction, college, social interaction. And then you're going to work, and they're like, nope,
All
not
gone.
allowed. No,
Yeah.
not allowed.
Yeah, and I definitely understand the people that said, "Hey, COVID happened. We went to work from home. I moved, or I got a job fully
Hmm.
remote,
Hmm.
and I don't
Hmm.
even live in that market, and
Hmm.
now being told to come back into the office." Hey, I get that, but yeah, the just
Give,
lack of
give,
interactions feels
yeah,
impossible.
give people a choice, because even in our office, like, we're, trying to get together we've got some remote people, we're trying to get together at least, like, once a month. That's a bare minimum, right? At
Okay.
least like couple times a month we have to get together and talk, because nothing will replace the social kind of interaction. And again, if you're talking about corporate culture, it has to be a part of the culture that
Yeah.
you have to get together, have a lunch, yeah, have a normal conversation. It's like, yeah, I don't think people, even with the virtual reality,
Yeah.
that's not a replacement of a social interaction.
Yeah, it
And
is
people
not the same.
could interact, right?
Yeah.
And my it's like these gaming communities, for example, they're trying to interact with each other through the games. Great, I think it's not a bad idea, but my problem with that is it's anonymous, and kind of a people really should kind of know each other.
Yeah. Well, and then
So.
I don't know if you've seen this, but I see stories often of someone that they met on a gaming platform, and
Hmm. Hmm.
they've played games together for years and years, and then what did they do? They finally met in person. Yeah, I mean, we need that. I feel like, even to use the word, people crave
Hmm.
that human connection. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're social creatures, it's not, I mean, this is why people who are living on a kind of a desert islands are going crazy, because we need
Yeah.
a human connection.
Yeah.
So, and anything that is like, well, no, it's now you have to stay home and do your own thing. Yeah, I mean, some of us are okay with that, but a lot of us are not.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Good stuff. Oh man, Peter, I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I want to kind of start wrapping up here and ask if you have any final, maybe, words of wisdom or nuggets you'd like to leave us with today.
Well, I'm not that wise, but I'm just old. But I think kind of the only word of wisdom I could come up with, if you're like, it's a really old one. If you like what you're doing, you're not really working. And that's, again, at my age, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to kind of enjoy what I'm doing, and then I don't have to work.
Sure. No, I love that. Yeah, between this and I mean, and I do this very minimally. This is the smallest portion of my time devoted each week. And the rest of the time is focused primarily on golf. So yeah, I'm
Nice,
pretty lucky in that
nice.
way. So, so what I want to do now is, and we like to do this with everyone, speaking of golf, is just a quick fire, and I'm going to list two things, and you just tell me which one is your preference. So the first one is golf or tennis, or
Tennis.
maybe neither.
Well, I like tennis. I don't play as, I played when I was younger. I don't play anymore. I definitely love to watch tennis.
Okay, okay. Do
Golf,
you have a favorite?
well, I mean, when you're, I do have a favorite, but what I'm saying is, like, when you're watching, like Wimbledon or US Open, this is such a show. This is
Yeah,
such an enjoyable event. Doesn't really matter who is playing. If
sure.
you're, watching, quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, it's always such a pleasure to watch, them playing, these, boys and girls playing. This is just unbelievable sport. It's beautiful, and it's, I think it's totally, like, every time it's just amazing. Very emotional.
Yeah, I love that. So next one would be tea or coffee.
Both.
Okay, okay, both. I like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I definitely don't want to assume based on your location, but mountains or beaches?
Ah, definitely beaches.
Beaches. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And then whiskey or wine? And yet again, could be neither or maybe both.
Well, depends on the situation. I probably both.
Okay. All right. And then the last one, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Definitely morning person.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely a morning person. Yeah, it's again, it's just an age thing. I was a night person before. Now I'm a morning person.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and start to wrap up and finalize. I'm going to close out the recording here. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you today. It has been the Work Cultured Podcast with Peter Oykhman. Thank you so much, Peter.